Okay, thank you very much, David. I feel I've been put into a very difficult position actually tonight. It's intimidating to share a stage with Dr. David Suzuki. Then everyone's come to listen to Dr. David Suzuki, and now you've almost put placed the world's problems on my shoulders. So I have to start. I think I should start by saying that no. I'm not in a position to solve the world's problems, but what I think is what you've been talking about, the problems and the current global situation, it would seem that we need to go forward. But what I would like to do is take you a little bit back, take about 50 years back, to bring Bhutan, the Bhutan story.
I think for most of us, Bhutan is just a place we may have heard about, but it's just so far away. Yes. We know nothing of the history.
And that's deliberate. That's by design. Because if you look at the map, you see there's China, India. In that region, I think one third of the world's population lives there. And there's Bhutan, little orange dot, with about a little more than 600,000 people. I think, and that's important because what it did to Bhutan was, we had this very strong sense of vulnerability, survival. And Bhutan deliberately, by policy strategy, decided to hide. Decided to hide in the mountains. And that's why people know very little about Bhutan. And also that's why Bhutan developed this image of being the last Shangri-La and the hidden kingdom, this kind of mystic image, which served Bhutan well in many ways. But then over the years, we literally hid for centuries. Then over the years, with the world changing, what we found out was that after the two world wars, the humanity decided that we needed to develop, and that was the term. And that the United Nations were formed in the mid-40s, and this so-called development process began. And in 1961 specifically, Bhutan thought, okay, we also cannot be left out completely. We've done well so far. We need to open up. So we literally opened our doors to the world very cautiously and looked around. And what we saw was this so-called development process, which the world had gone through. And what we also understood was that the world interpreted development purely as economic development. And in that process, in the pursuit of material well-being, societies that lost their cultures, their forests were gone, there's huge ecological imbalance already. So Bhutan said, no, this is not development. Human development needs a higher goal, and that has to be happiness. So, having said that, we did some thinking on this. We drew from the values of the past. And the first thing we had to do was define happiness. Okay, I think great minds have been trying to define happiness for years, centuries, and I think two people agreed on an interpretation. But if I can try and explain what we understand by happiness, it's not the fleeting sense of fun, pleasure, the excitement, the emotions. That's the Disneyland happiness. Okay. For Bhutan, this happiness is you look into your mind, you look inside yourself. It's that deep, abiding sense of contentment that you need less rather than want more. And we are quite clear on this. This is drawn from initially from some Buddhist teachings, but we think it can be a global concept. And if that is happiness, it becomes an individual pursuit. You look inside yourself for happiness. We think that now gross national happiness, which you've heard about, which has been written about, is the responsibility of the state, responsibility of the government to create an environment where citizens can pursue happiness. So that's why we say happiness is no laughing matter. It becomes a very serious responsibility. So then what we've done in Bhutan is that we, accepting that there's no external source of happiness, we've thought about happiness at a number of different levels. Now, there is the intuitive expression of happiness. For example, interdependence of beings, that all beings must live together. And in one of the experiments, what we actually did was that, one example of this is that in this development context, when we decided we had to open up, we had to develop. One of the experiments in one of the valleys, we had this, it's a rice growing valley, and people said, hey, the government actually said we can grow 2 crops in this valley, given the climate and the temperature, and they tried, and there were 2 crops instead of that year. People had twice as much rice. Okay. The next year when the government came to this valley, nobody was doing the second crop. And they said, hey, what happened? We doubled your income. They said, no, but we lost our free time. We didn't have time to bathe in the sunbathing. It's important in the winter, and the festivals and the celebrations in the winter. So that was one. Then